his heart for all those years he has been there ni huyu baba. Hawa wengine waoshiwoshi, taki kusema mengi mimi. Basi mpigieni makofi sasa atuzungumzie.
Asante. Haya. Haya. PNU hoye. PNU hoye. Nasema PNU. PNU. Kazi endelee. Kazi endelee. Asante sana. Kiongozi wa PNU na viongozi wengine wote ambao wamefika hapa siku ya leo. Viongozi wa PNU pande hii, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. We will come at the invitation of Mr. Munya kwa hii hafla ya leo ya PNU. And we are very happy to be here today, because PNU is part of our history of multi-party democracy. And as you know, members or the founders of PNU were with us at the inception of multipartism in this country. The fight for multipartism in Kenya was a very, very hard and bloody one. And many Kenyans lost their lives in doing that struggle. So the day when ultimately KANU went to Kasarani and the declaration was made to remove that section 2A, was a historic day for Kenyans. They said tutoe ile section 2A, Bianyala alisema tuwache hawa watu. And then we were Ford exploded. Kenyans were everywhere on the streets. So after that, parties came up. Since that time, it was first originally only Ford. Then came DP. Eventually Ford split into Ford CD, Ford Kenya, and so on and so forth. But then we moved on, and we ensured when we were writing our new constitution to state in there that Kenya is a multi-party democracy. This was because of the period that Kenyans went through a very bloody dictatorship of single party. And we said never again will Kenyans agree to go back to that kind of situation. So I'm happy to be here when PNU is celebrating 15 years. It reminds me of my late friend, Emilio Mwai Kibaki, a great Kenyan by all the standards. Mwai Kibaki was a very simple person. You talk to Kibaki and a man of very few words. He did not speak many things. And after you say something which he does not agree with, just say, huyo ni mjinga. Yamesema ni mpumbavu huyo tu. Wachana na yeye. So, past Kibaki was in DP, when Ford, eventually Ford Kenya, and so on. But ultimately, we decided to come together. We decided to come together because of historical reasons. When Moi was trying to impose leadership in the country, we said no to Moi. And we met, and it took us a long time to come together. Ultimately, we agreed we were going to come together. But the problem was who was going to lead this coalition. Everybody wanted. We were 7 of us. We said ourselves we are going to Uhuru Park. And we want to go there and tell the Kenyans who is the leader. Oh, let's go there today and tell them we are going to come back in 2 weeks and tell you who is the candidate. I knew that that was not going to work. So when we went back, when we went to Uhuru Park, I had the last word as the leader of the LDP. And I mustered the courage to say, no, si Mzee Kibaki anatosha. The whole field went wild. Kibaki tosha. Kibaki tosha. And that's what the people were waiting for. And after that, NAC came together and brought the people of Kenya together. And we then went to elections and we won the elections. They said in leading international journals and papers, including New York Times and the Times of London, that Kenyans were the most optimistic people in the world at that time. Kenyans believe yote inawezekana. Why? Because they said they were unbogable. We were unbogable. And that was the spirit of NAC. Unfortunately, because Kibaki had suffered the accident, Kibaki was infirm. Some opportunists took charge and created an ideology of split. These are basically the elites around Kibaki. They're the ones who created the blood in NAC, which ended with the eventual split of NAC. And that is why we had a problem at Bomas of Kenya. And then why we ended up with oranges and bananas. And then since we ended up with ODM and PNU. I'm giving you that history to know that PNU and ODM have one common origin. They are children of NAC that we had formed. So I come to you here as a leader of a sister party, ODM, and PNU are sisters. Okay? And but there's nothing wrong with party splitting. It's a normal thing. Even if you go to Europe, you have these things. Even in the USA, it's the same thing. And parties profess different ideologies. But that is the need. That is the what you call the diversity of society that we need. Pluralism. If you go to the UK, you've got the Liberal Party. You have the Democratic, you have the Labour Party. You have the Conservative Party. The US, there are several political parties. You want to hear of the Republicans and the Democrats. But there are very many other political parties in the United States of America. So we have here in our place, we're going to form a coalition that we call Azimio. Azimio is a coalition of several political parties that have come together. And this is because of our current political history and situation. And Azimio is as strong as its constituent parties are strong. A house cannot be strong without strong pillars. Hiyo hema pale mko hapo haiwezi kusimama kama hakuna hizo mlingoti ambaye imeshika hizo pembe. So the stronger PNU, the stronger Jubilee, a stronger Wiper, a stronger NAC Kenya, and a stronger ODM, a stronger DAP equals to a stronger Azimio. And that's why you've seen ODM launch membership drive. And we started in Nyanza, we finished all the counties of Nyanza. We went to Western, we finished all the counties of Western. This last week we were in the coast, and we finished all the counties in the coast. We will be doing the Rift Valley. We will be doing Northeastern. We will come to Eastern and the mountain region as ODM. So we encourage PNU and all other constituent parties to do the same. This way, as PNU will become strong. If these constituent parties are strong, there are areas you call the strongholds of PNU. So when I go there, I don't talk about PNU. When I go there, I just encourage members there to be PNU. And I also say ODM is also available. Like this Saturday, I'm going to be in Meru. You're good with Monya. Yes, he's going to be there next week. When I go there, I'll send his greetings. He'll do the same wherever he is. Wherever I've been to, I've conveyed the greetings of all the leadership of Azimio. This is where we are. But currently, this regime is failing because of poor advice. Because of poor advice. And I want to give them a free advice. You know, when we came to government, we found a government that was bankrupt. Kibaki himself was sick, but he could give us advice of what to do in his sickbed. But we were there, implemented what we agreed on as our policies. Look, for example, we had promised the people that we are going to implement a free primary education from day one. When we entered, we found a bankrupt economy. But Kibaki told us, because we had promised this to the people, we must implement it. We must implement it. He was in this sickbed when he was talking to me. And I went and told our people, we must implement free primary education this first term. It was January. And we started implementing free primary education from the first year that we went into government, because it was a promise. And immediately the enrollment shot up. The facilities were overwhelmed. There were no classrooms. Children were learning under the trees. People enrolled up to 84-year-old, Mr. Marubi. But we said it will go on. Then some donors began to come up. USAID, DFID, so come to give us assistance to put up structures, classrooms, and so on and so forth. It was implemented, and eventually it became a true success. The issue of this housing problem that these people are struggling with is not a new thing. It is in our manifesto as Azimio. They didn't have it in their manifesto. They borrowed it, but they don't know how to implement it. Us, we knew how to implement it. You see, when I was at the beginning, I was a minister for roads, public works, and housing. Housing was in my docket. Roads was in my docket. Public works, all these public buildings were in my docket. First, I traveled all across the country. I went to all the districts at that time. The first 3 months. I was looking at the status of roads. I was looking at the status of public works and housing generally. I came back and wrote a paper which I presented to the cabinet. And I said that for this government to make an impact that people can see that there's a change in our country, I need more money in my docket. So I want each and every ministry to donate 5% of their budget to my ministry. Some members in the cabinet opposed me. Members supported me. And Kibaki supported me. So my ministry was given more money for these programs. And that is how we began to, because most of the roads in the country were dilapidated. Those have been tarmacked. And we had only 9,000 kilometers of tarmac roads. Of those 9,000 kilometers, 45% was in deplorable condition, requiring complete recarpeting. But I needed more money to build new roads. So I found when the cost of constructing roads was 55 million shillings per kilometer, a standard 5-meter gauge road. I sat with my engineers down, and we went to nuts and bolts. What is it that you require to tarmac 1 kilometer of a road? As an engineer, now I'm talking as an engineer. And we found out, eventually reduced the cost from 55 million shillings to 20 up to 25 million shillings per kilometer. Because that is where the money was getting lost. So you can be taxing people to do roads, but if you don't look at nuts and bolts, most of this is just going to go to people's private pockets. So we were able now, and we also widened the gauge, 6 meters instead of 5 meters, plus soldiers for cyclists and pedestrians. But it's still between 20 to 25 million shillings, from 55 million shillings. Then, in the issue of public works, there are so many public works which have been abandoned over the country. Provincial headquarters, district headquarters, hospitals, colleges, schools, and so on, which are built and left just hanging there. Went around. And I said, before we start new projects, we complete all these white elephant projects and put the money. And we completed all of them. All those which were, you see, you saw the Nyayo, how do you call it? Nyayo, the one on Thika Road. Nyayo, what? It was for vehicles up there. And then we had provincial headquarters in Kisumu, there was one in Mbale, in Vihiga, there was one in Chicago, there was all over the place, and hospitals. But the housing, affordable housing thing, was an issue. I went to Malaysia. I went to Singapore. I went to Korea and saw what they had done in what you call this affordable housing scheme thing. I came back here and revised the housing policy, how to roll out this housing program. And the day I presented it in Parliament, and it was approved in Parliament, because I found a very old housing policy which had been in place since 1966. The day it was approved, there was a cabinet reshuffle, and housing was removed from my docket. But I continue to push this affordable housing thing. The most successful example is found in South Korea, so done by General Park Chung-hee. And it is founded on basic fundamental human rights for the people. If you go there, we have put them in our constitution. It is also in the ODM manifesto. 1, the right to life. Every Kenyan has a right to life. Number 2, the right to food. Each and every Kenyan has a right to food. 3, right to shelter. Each and every Kenyan has a right to shelter. Nobody should sleep on the streets. 4, right to health. Every Kenyan has a right to health and Medicare. If one is sick, whether they have money or they have no money, they have a right to Medicare. 5, right to education. Every child born in our country has a right to education, even if the parents have no money. From primary, from nursery, primary, secondary, up to university. Then right to work and so on and so forth. But if you're doing this affordable housing thing, it must be affordable. We came up with slum upgrading in towns because we found that in Nairobi, 60% of the population here live in slums. And we started with Kibra, which was in my constituency, to do slum upgrading, that program. And how do you do it? Because it's not a standard thing as one size fits all. That you have got one design of flats or apartments and people are paying so much and you're going to deduct to go and construct. First, you're solving basic problems. You're solving the problem of shelter, housing. But secondly, you must also solve the problem of work. 3, the problem of education. 4, the problem of health care. So all those settlements which are being done there, they're not the same designs. Depend on the need and the area. Here, people are going to be living here. Where are they going to work? Where is the market? Where is the health center? Where is the school? So it becomes one community. One community. So these people have a place where they're going to work. Like in Kibera, the program we came up with, it has not been implemented. We're going to put up apartments. But we're also going to put up shops where people will work and create wealth. Then there's going to be a market where they will take their wares. There's going to be a health center. There's going to be a school for the children. That's what you call integrated development. And people apply, those who want houses. Some of them are made to pay a deposit. The government made provision in the budget for rolling out this program countrywide. So there are definitely beneficiaries who are going to benefit, who will, and will not lack beneficiaries, who will come voluntarily to agree, 10% I will pay, 15% I will pay. But not that each and every person must pay, whether you're going to benefit from this program or not. You must pay. Even if you have a house already, you don't need a house, you must pay. Upende, usipende. Hiyo lugha ya upende usipende tulizika na katiba mkongwe. Hatutaki kusikia tena. Hatutaki tena kusikia mambo ya upende usipende. Hiyo ilienda na nyayo. Kwa hivyo sisi wa Kenya, kama mnataka tufanye hii maneno, watu waketi chini. Let us have a proper dialogue, a national dialogue of how this program is going to be rolled, so people own it properly. Let people understand what you want to do. Then it will be owned. When we were making transformation with Kibaki, we convened a conference at Bomas of Kenya. 1 week, it was called The Kenya We Want. The Kenya We Want. And people dialogued and agreed what needed to be done in our country. But then we also set up a think tank, which is called NESC, National Economic and Social Council, which was a think tank where people, experts from Malaysia, from Singapore, from Korea, from Britain, and we had also experts from within the country here. NESC was meeting once every 3 months to come up with ideas. It's through NESC that we came up with Vision 2030. It's through NESC that we came up with the idea of SGR, LabSet, this Konza city, ICT city in Konza, tourist centers, economic processing zones. Those were thought out clearly, things which were clearly thought out, how they are going to be rolled out in the country. Think tank, I mean, NES was meeting every 3 months, co-chaired by Kibaki and myself. Most of the time, Kibaki will chair the first meeting, but I will chair all the other meetings. I chaired the last NESC meeting in February 2013. It has not been held up to today. So this is running around without any think tank, no thinking, just tutafanya hii, tumeandika katika manifesto yetu, but nobody is thinking. This regime is moving like a blind person in the highway. It is very unfortunate indeed. Azimio. 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 I don't want to bore you much longer. Thank you very much. Asanteni sana.
Thank you. Pigieni baba makofi.